Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing great. We are Sara Ortega, Victor Cortez, Rodrigo Marquez, and myself, Alexis Valdez. And today we are going to show you how the risk theory prevented a civil war between two of our most loved superheroes.
We love superhero movies, but have you ever stopped to think about the consequences of their actions? The reality is superheroes cause a lot of damage to cities while saving the world. So, who should pay for all of that damage? One solution could be that the superheroes themselves should pay for the damage they cause. This idea is based on the concept of collective risk. It means that everyone shares the risk and everyone should share the cost. If the superheroes were held responsible for the damage they cause, they might be more careful about how they fight. And if they don't pay for the damage, who will? If a solution isn't reached, it could even lead to a civil war among superheroes. It's time for us to start thinking about the consequences of superhero battles and who should be held responsible. Let's make sure that the heroes we look up to are also responsible for their actions. Have you ever wondered who should pay for the damage caused by superheroes during their epic battles? For the solution, here is entered Frank Plumpton Wright, an American mathematician who proposed the theory of collective risk. The idea is simple. If the risk is distributed about many individuals, the total risk can be reduced by pooling individual risk.
Applying Wright's theory, the solution to the problem could be for superheroes to share the risk of causing damage. By doing so, they could divide the cost of damages among themselves, avoiding a single entity being held responsible and reducing the overall risk. If a solution is not found, tensions could increase and even lead to a superhero civil war. Therefore, the collective risk model could be an effective solution to prevent this conflict and protect cities from the damages caused by superheroes. By working together, superheroes can protect not only the people they serve, but also each other, ensuring that cities they fight to defend are safe and secure.
Now, in order to prove this model, we are gonna make this exercise, and we are gonna assume that there is a war in a city. The damage will be covered by the superheroes of Marvel, DC, and the city. Marvel will cover the first 350 billion. DC Comics will cover from that amount to $1 trillion. So they will be covering an amount of 650 billion. And finally, the city will cover the excess of this amount if the damages surpasses $1 trillion, as we see in this little chart. Also, we are going to assume that the claims will follow a gamma distribution with an alpha equal 18 and a beta of 6. And finally, n is the number of accidents. We will follow a Poisson, the random variable, with mean 7. Here we have our alpha and our beta, or theta, it doesn't matter. The expected value of x will be the multiplication between the alpha and the beta. The expected value of the Poisson is the mean, so it's 7, as we established before. And so now we are gonna calculate the probability that in a war there will be n accidents or events. So we have our variable n, 0 accidents, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. The probability, as we said, follows a Poisson distribution with x as lambda, that is 0 and 7. And we're gonna need the punctual distribution, not the cumulative distribution. So these are our values, and if we do the sum of these values, as we saw in the bottom part, right bottom part, it's 1. So the probability always needs to be 1, the sum of all the probabilities. Then we're going to consider the amount of money that will be considered in the situation. Here is $0, 1 million, 1,000, 2,000, and so on. And the probability will follow the gamma distribution, as we established earlier, the distribution function of the aggregate claims considering n accidents. So this is, we are gonna need $0 and with 0 accidents, so the probability is always 100%. The probability here that we don't use any money and have one accident will be 0 because it's logical thinking. But here we are gonna start using the gamma distribution, that it will be $0, the alpha times the number of accidents or events that the city will have. We are gonna use the beta and also the punctual probability. So we do all this for all the events we have, and at the end we have these results that I have right here. It will be the probability that S equals S. We have the sum product of all the events here with the amount of money we're gonna have, and the times the probability of having the events that with the Poisson distribution, sorry. Then we're gonna have these columns that are labeled with Marvel, DC, and the city. Sorry, here is city. And we are gonna establish here that if the amount of money is below 350,000 or billion, sorry, we are gonna establish that number. And if not, only 350 for Marvel, because the condition we gave here previously that Marvel will only cover the first 350 billion. So as we can see, Marvel is this column, and from this point and so on, they are only going to cover 350 billion. For DC, we said that they were going to cover from this 350 billion of Marvel to $1 trillion. So they're going to cover 650 billion. We can see it right here. We establish a condition that if this amount is less than 350, it's gonna be 0, and from that amount of money to the end, where they are gonna pay 650 million. So we are gonna go to this part, this part, where we have 350 million, and since this part, they are gonna start covering their debt until the $1 trillion that we have that amount right here. Right here. In this point, there are going to be $1,000 or $1 trillion in gain. And finally, in the city, we're going to make the excess. So they're going to start covering from this point and so on. From this point. In order to get our premium for each, I don't know, for Marvel, DC, and the city, we're gonna do the sum product of these columns, the probability of paying and the probability and the amount of paying of each Marvel, city, DC, and the city. So the premium for Marvel will be $353 billion. The probability, the premium for DC will be 374 billion, and the amount of money for the city will be 37 billion. The probability, well, we can see it in the next chart. Here it's way easier to see it. We have the expected value or the premium for each of the players in the game, that is Marvel, DC, and the city, and the probability of this amount surpasses the premium we have right here. So if there will be 93.70% of probability that the amount that Marvel will end up paying is higher than the $343 billion. For DC, it has a probability of 51.55% of probability that they will end up paying more than 374 billion. And for the city, there is a 60% of probability that they will pay more than $37 billion. The sum of these premiums for each one of the players is $766 billion. And the expected value of all the event that we calculate before is the same, $756 billion. That we calculate right here with the multiplication between the expected value of our variable x and the expected value of our variable n. So it's correct, the exercise that we made, and that's it. Thank you.
To conclude, Marvel will reject the insurance we offer as the difference is minimal, and the likelihood of paying more than 343 trillion is very high. making it not worth it for them. On the other hand, DC will accept the insurance because the probability is basically 50%, and it would save them a substantial amount. The city would also accept the insurance because they only cover the excess, and the likelihood of exceeding is very low. The total of these premiums amounts to estimated 756 trillion in damage to the city with the proposed situation.